Hey everybody, quick update from the trail here. It's a beautiful day. It's in the mid 70s. Can't think of anything I'd rather be doing right now except for this. Anyway, big news to update today. I went over my last 4 weeks of workouts and rides, and what I've come up with is I shouldn't be out here doing this. I really ought to be exhausted. I should be tired. I still weigh over 300 pounds. I'm still over 50 years old. And somehow I was able to log 16 hours in the gym, which included high intensity cardio, treadmill, weights, about an hour and a half per workout. And I think this is my 12th ride. Third ride in a row this week, 30 miles today, 30 miles the last 2 days. So I should be exhausted. I shouldn't have the energy to do this. And I think I've discovered the key. And it's a lot simpler than I've ever thought. Kind of kicking myself right now for not doing this 30 years ago. Where's all this energy coming from? I'm out of shape, I'm overweight. Boy, oh boy, incredible. When I get back to the studio in a moment, I'm going to show you the results. One of the most astounding things was the body composition change just since starting the smart scale measurements. Just amazing. No energy depletion. I think it's the diet. I think it's a couple different things. But anyway, back to the studio. See you there. Welcome everybody. This is the studio space. I'm going to be filming inside here rather than my back porch. This room needed a lot of work if you watched the first video, which I hope you do. If you've been following me along, you know I'm on a mission to prove that weight loss over 50 isn't just possible, it is absolutely doable. This past month, really, I'm shocked actually, myself. I wasn't expecting the results that we've got. So before we dive in, if you're finding any of this information helpful, or if you just like following along, a quick like and subscribe helps out the channel, keeps me motivated to keep sharing what is actually working for me. The hardest part of this journey so far has been sitting here talking to you. The other parts I've actually found kind of enjoyable. I like that I've been more active. I feel so much better with what I've been eating, and I'm going to share that because I think the diet portion of this has probably been the most impactful to the results that I've had. If you've seen the other videos, you'll know that this journey for me really launched with a doctor's appointment that I had back on the 11th of February. I've had this sort of bulge in my abdomen that I suspected was a hernia. Turns out that I was correct, and I had an initial appointment with a hernia specialist who is going to do the surgery in the next month. I have a date scheduled. In preparation for that, I was told that losing some weight prior to the surgery would help not only with the surgery itself, but after the surgery for this not to happen again. This is an incisional hernia, which is from a prior surgery from 2023 that I had, which was a bowel resection. And I'll probably make a separate video about that because that's a whole story in and of itself. And I think as you get north of 50, more than likely you're going to experience some sort of a health issue that may require some sort of a corrective action like I had. The importance of losing the visceral fat in my midsection and keeping my weight down overall is going to not only improve my overall health, but it's going to prevent this incisional hernia from recurring later on in the future. It doesn't really hurt. It definitely looks strange. I'll show you a picture of it here. Actually, I'll put it up right now. You can see it here through my bike jersey that I'm wearing right here. It kind of bulges out. It's about the size of a melon, and it's not a great thing to have. I see it bothers me, and sometimes it's not super comfortable, but I've recovered from this type of surgery before. It does take quite a bit of effort. I think I'm gonna document that all as well, because I think it's important to see that even at our age and our condition that we can still accomplish anything that we need to. Let's look at the results. I recently made the purchase of a new scale, and I saw when I was researching this that there is something called a smart scale, which I had no idea existed before. It is capable of measuring all sorts of things besides just your body weight and your BMI. And I'm sure I'm late in the game with this. I'm sure that a lot of people know about this, but if I didn't know, I'm assuming that others out there didn't know either. So this can measure things like muscle mass and bone density and water weight, and even your BMR, which is the number of calories you burn in a day at rest. So pretty cool device. Initially I thought I would just use it maybe once a week, but after seeing the numbers, and I really wanted to see what the trends were, so I started using it every day. So let's take a look. All right, so looking at the 90 days, you can see this is where I've entered my starting weight, 211, there it is, 346, and I've made a really fast drop, faster than I ever thought it was going to be. 323, that's the first measurement with the smart scale. You can look at this at 30 days, get a different average right there. This is where I was today, 315.6, so I have actually lost 30 pounds in 7 weeks, which I was expecting at most 1 or 2 pounds a week. You know, all of the go on the internet, you look up, hey, I need to lose weight, how long is it going to take? And they're like, oh, it's extreme if you do more than 1 or 1.5 to 2 pounds a week. So I thought, well, okay, I'm older now, it's going to take longer. And no, this was the actual results. So looking a little bit further into this, you can see that there is BMI is tracked here too. Body fat percentage, great. Visceral fat, this is a really good number for me. Since using this scale, I'm down 1 whole pound in visceral fat, which is amazing. Body water, skeletal muscles, muscle mass, and this was the shocking one to me. While I lost all this body fat, I actually gained 0.5 pound of lean muscle mass. I think that's what this is telling me anyway. Bone mass, no change. Protein, I've actually gone up a little bit. We're going to talk about protein a lot later on. And then my BMR has actually dropped from 2,500 to 2,335. So those are the results really for the last month. And I'm actually kind of astonished. What really has me floored more than anything else is the amount of energy that I have, because I have done a lot of working out. I'll show you here. Looking at the number of check-ins in February, I went to the gym 3 times. In March, I went 15 times. And you can see here, on the bike, on the trail in the month of March, 11 rides. So that is 15 days of being in the gym and 11 days of being on the trail. That is 26 workouts out of 31 days. Again, I'm over 300 pounds and I'm 52 years old, and I have not been working out for the last, probably realistically the last year, maybe even a little more than that. So I haven't hit the wall. I'm going to share with you how I did this, because if I told myself 2 months ago this is what I'd be doing right now, I wouldn't believe me. So I've really learned a lot, and I think a lot of it had to do with, again, with proper diet. And I have a theory about why it's so difficult to stay consistent after the 3rd or 4th week of starting a new diet and exercise program. It seems really obvious to me now. So I'm going to share that with you. I'm not going to get into all the details of it right now because it's really kind of a lot, and I think that it's probably better suited to have it in its own, each part of this needs its own time to be talked about and fleshed out. It's just not, it's too much information. It's nothing complicated, but it is, it's too much to just talk through in a 10 or 15 minute video like this, but I will get to it, and we will go to the kitchen. I'll show you how I prepare everything. I've got sort of a story about the first week or so of dropping all the processed food, and I'm going to tell that in another video later because I think it needs a little more discussion than just that. What I'm showing you today is what's worked for me. If you are interested in starting a journey like this on your own, you can look at what I've done and apply some of it, but it needs to be tailored to the individual. And I can happy to point and show you everything that I've done, and I will. It's just going to take some time because recording all of this and getting it all down on film is not the easiest thing to do in the world. Two pieces of advice that I would offer are simply this. Number one, decide that you're going to do it. And I don't mean make a decision like, oh, yep, I'm on board. No, seriously, sit down, make a decision, and commit to it. That's what the decision really is that you've decided to do it, and now you're on that path, on that track. My other secondary thing is a little more practical. One thing that worked for me is getting my diet under control before doing any kind of workouts. Working out often will make you hungry, and you will tell yourself that because you worked out, you can eat a little more, or you can go out to dinner, or you can do whatever. And that kind of derails your progress right in the beginning. So I'd recommend figuring out what you're going to eat and your schedule and how you're going to do it, and get a good solid week or two of just being on that plan before starting any additional workouts of any kind. So if I can do it, you can do it. There's nothing special about me. There's nothing special about my genetics or anything like that. Certainly I was very out of shape for the last 6 months or more. If I can do it, you can do it. What I'm gonna do now is continue for the next 30 days until I have the surgery. Hopefully the audience will grow a little bit. If you know people who are interested and are struggling also, feel free to share this with them. I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not any kind of like coach or anything like that. I'm not selling anything. If you're curious about the Smart Scale, there's a whole bunch of them on the market. I'll put a link in the description of the one that I have. Thanks so much for watching. Next week, I'm going to get into a little bit more in the weeds of the diet I've been following. So look for that next week. If you want, like and subscribe, at least you'll get notifications of when the videos do come out. And thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.